If we look at the life of Jesus, we find a lot of insights. Because I remember when I first started reading the Gospels, reading the Scriptures, and I was so pulled into Jesus. I mean, I knew he was a good teacher and he was a good moral person. I knew he was Jesus, right? He was all wise. So I was interested and curious to read more about his life and his story. And what I discovered then and what I continue to discover now as I read stories of Jesus is that he had such brilliance in how he brought together this irrational love where he brought his full self into every moment, to every person in his life. And at the same time, he brought this incredibly missional focused movement that came through his life, that he advanced influence forward. I mean, he knew how to communicate effectively. He knew how to relate to people and respond to what they needed. And at the same time, he put humanity to shame when it came to how well he loved people. See, this is Jesus. And if you think about him, he is and was the person who embodies the full embodiment he is of relational intelligence. Right? In moments, he knew how to read what was going on, and then he responded accordingly with shrewdness and wisdom and respect and love and effectiveness and smarts and intelligence. I mean, think about his life and some of the interactions he had. I mean, in one moment, he accepted people right where they were at and embraced them, and in other moments, he challenged people to grow and change. In certain moments, Jesus brought peace, but in other moments, Jesus evoked conflict. In certain moments, Jesus served people. In other moments, he led people. Sometimes he was innocent, sometimes he was shrewd. Sometimes he extended compassion and grace, and sometimes he fought for justice and truth. And on it goes in Jesus' life. And even more specifically, think about how he interacted with the same person sometimes in different circumstances, right? And think about Peter. On one occasion, he said to Peter, when Peter put his foot in his mouth, which he tended to do, remember what he said? He said, "Get behind me, Satan." Jesus said this to Peter. He was confronting him, saying, "No, you don't do it that way." And this is one of Jesus' closest friends. And yet, in another moment, he says to Peter, "It's on you that I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." Same guy, different moments, different responses. See, Jesus, over and over, he learned along the way to listen, to pay attention to the nuances of relationships, to sometimes the invisible dynamics. He listened to people's needs and longings, and he responded. And here's the thing, Jesus, when you look at those situations, he was either brilliant or he was bipolar, right? And I think you know my opinion, but Jesus knew how to engage people in a deeply caring way as well as a smart, intelligent, intentional way. He embodied how to notice what people were going through, notice what was going on. He knew how to respond accordingly. He did it with immense wisdom. And because of it, he pulled people toward him, and he expanded his capacity to influence people all around him for the good. And here's the thing. Many of us long to have that kind of person in our life who relates to us in that kind of way, where they love us with the purest kind of love, and yet at the same time, they push us forward to be better. Don't you long for that kind of person in your life? And then we also, on the flip side, long to be that kind of person. We long to relate to others in that kind of way, and we find ourselves getting stuck. We find ourselves not knowing how to move forward. We find ourselves going, where do I even begin? It's the struggle. And what I want to suggest this morning is a very clear beginning point when it comes to relational intelligence. Because we can't just look at the techniques of Jesus, or for that matter, other people. We can't just mimic what they do. Although we can learn from those things, we actually have to gain awareness at the deepest level.